Welcome back to Beyond the Bell. We hope that you've had a great summer and that you're ready to get this school year started. Leading up to August, we have a few episodes to get you ready for back to school. Today, we're joined by our new superintendent, Dr. LeDuff. Thanks for joining us on the show. If you guys can't tell, we have a brand new set, and we're super excited to have you. You're our first guest on the new set. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, first off, thank you for having me today. My name is LeDuff, and I'm the new superintendent for Barrow County School System.
Awesome. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. My parents worked for Southern Bell Company, so they were relocated to Georgia when I was in middle school. So I went to middle school at Trickham and Parkview over in Gwinnett County, and then went away to college and came back to Georgia to teach.
Oh, so where did you go to college at?
I went to Clemson University. Go Tigers.
That's awesome. So what made you decide to pursue a career in education?
So when I was in high school, I actually had the opportunity to serve in a classroom for students with special needs. And through that experience, I fell in love with education, and it was something that I always wanted to do. So I went to Clemson and majored in special education, and then came back to Georgia to teach. And the rest is history, so to speak.
Oh, well, tell me a little bit about your first job teaching and walk me through that whole process of, from then to now.
Sure. I taught high school, what we call self-contained EBD class. So the students were with me all day long, and they had some emotional and behavioral disorders that we were working on developing skills to overcome some of that so they could join their classmates out in regular education classrooms. So that's what we worked on there. I then went to Forsyth County, where we had a chance to open a classroom that serves students with autism spectrum disorders. So same kind of thing, working on skills so they could operate effectively throughout the school day. And from there, I went on to administration and ended up at the board office, and here I am today.
So how many years total have you been in this setting from classroom to administration?
I'm beginning my 20th year in education.
Okay. What made you want to come to Barrow County?
So as I was studying Barrow and deciding where would be a good place for my family to relocate to and serve, the community in Barrow County really stood out to me. It was obvious that there was a lot of pride that was taken in educating our students. And secondly, our Board of Education also seems to be dedicated to putting the things in place that our staff needs to be successful in their service to our students and their families.
Did you know anything about Barrow County before coming along and, stepping into this new position?
Sure. I knew a little bit about Barrow, obviously growing up in Gwinnett County and then serving in another neighboring county as an educator. I knew of Barrow, had worked with some of my colleagues in different settings and seeing them at conferences and things like that. But really learned a lot as I was preparing to speak with the Board of Education about serving as a superintendent and trying to learn as much as I can about the school system. And I've been nothing but impressed from the start of that study to now being here and serving alongside our colleagues.
Okay. So you came from Oconee. That was the last place that you were just at. Tell us a little bit about that position and going from that role to here and what the process has been like, learning about becoming a superintendent.
Sure. I served in a number of different roles. Most recently, I was the associate superintendent, and I oversaw the district operations in that role, so school nutrition, construction, things like that, transportation. But really, it was about supporting the governance team, the superintendent, and the Board of Education to make sure our staff and students had what they needed to be successful every day.
Did you always know that you wanted to eventually become a superintendent?
Oh gosh, I don't know if anybody starts teaching and says, I'm doing this so one day I can be the superintendent, but I've been very fortunate to work with a bunch of great leaders and teachers throughout my career. So, I think the main goal was just to wake up every day and do the best that you can for the people that you serve. So that has always been a goal of mine. As I learned more, one day I decided I might like to be an assistant principal, and served as an interim principal, and obviously served for a long time at the district office level. And it's just, one thing leads to the next, one opportunity leads to the next, and found myself learning a lot about governance and serving alongside the Board of Education, and that's something that interested me a lot. And I'm very fortunate to get this opportunity to come serve in Barrow.
Well, we're super excited to have you here. How has the job been so far?
It has been very, very busy. Gotten a chance to meet a lot of different people, and there's a lot more people that I want to meet, but so far it's really been a lot about getting to know the staff and the community as much as I can. Very thankful for our staff here that's put on a few events for me to have a chance to meet with some people. Last week, we had an event that was hosted by Jackson EMC and the Chamber of Commerce, who are great partners to the school system. Another opportunity for me to meet some people in the community. And going to continue to do that throughout the summer as we prepare to welcome our students back in August.
Super exciting. What has surprised you the most since you have stepped into this role?
I'd say it's been a very pleasant surprise at how warm and welcoming this community has been to me and my family. That was something that, you kind of expect a welcome of some sort, but really feel like everyone has really gone out of their way to help us and assist us in terms of relocating to Barrow County, but also making sure that we feel welcome and my children feel welcome in our schools and in our community. So just really been pleased with the family atmosphere here in Barrow County.
What are some goals that you have for this upcoming school year?
So in year one, I think my primary goal is to listen and learn. There's a lot of talented people and a lot of wonderful things happening in the Barrow County School System. So I want to make sure that I get a good understanding of that. Beyond that, I think another goal I have is just to see where we can unify our community even more than it already has been, and continue to work to serve our students.
Okay. I would like you to share a fun story about, a time you've been either teaching or administration that has really stood out to you that you feel like helped you step into this new position.
Well, I don't know if it's a fun story that anyone would remember as fun, but really, honestly, looking back on it, enjoyed my time as an educator serving throughout our COVID-19 challenge here in our state and our nation, not because it was easy by any means, but I think it really highlighted for us how much we value public education and how much we truly need that as a community to serve our families. It also gave us a really great opportunity to get out of our comfort zone a little bit and start working with community members that we might not have either had an opportunity or saw a need to necessarily reach out to. And I think now that we've turned the page on the pandemic, it's really strengthened what we are able to provide, because now we have those relationships in our communities and we can really work together to serve all children and their families.
That's the goal. So we've heard you say living the dream a lot since you've got here in Barrow County. Will you explain what that means and the significance behind it?
Sure. Living the dream is just something I like to say to remind myself that we have an opportunity to choose what we focus on, and there's a lot of negative things that we can focus on, and there's a lot of positive things that we can focus on, and each individual has the ability to choose which one of those they're going to focus on, and it's really going to change their outlook on the task at hand or their day or even their life. So it's just my reminder to make sure that we always focus on the positive things that are going on around us.
Oh, that's a good message. You submitted questions on Facebook, and we're excited to ask Dr. LeDuff those questions and get to know more about him. So, some of our community questions that were submitted, here's the first one. All of our schools have multiple administrators except elementary. Why is this the case, and will we see more admins coming to elementary schools?
So what I can tell you about not only administrators but staffing in general is we're always going to look at what our students need in order to reach the goals that we've set forward for them and our schools and our community. So that's something that we're going to have to continually evaluate in terms of staffing and allot the appropriate amount of staff in the appropriate positions to make sure that we're serving our students well.
Okay. The second question that was submitted was, what are some ways that you plan to promote positive behavior and discipline in our classrooms? What tools do you want to equip teachers with to ensure that every student feels safe and protected in school?
Safety is extremely important. I would argue that it's the most important thing that we do each and every day is to make sure that we provide a safe environment for our students. I think that's kind of twofold. Number one, our students need to be safe. They need to be physically safe, but also our students need to feel safe. So one of the things that we do every day, almost every moment of every day, particularly our teachers in the classrooms, is making sure that our students have the tools to behave appropriately throughout the school day so they can have a wonderful experience at our school. So maybe the simple answer to that is make sure that we're teaching our children exactly what we expect from them behaviorally in different environments, in different settings, and then obviously acknowledging when they do the right thing. So when they do what we've expected them to do or taught them to do, we're just going to acknowledge them and tell them that that's a good job. That's exactly what we've been teaching and learning, and that's what we want you to do. And then obviously that's going to involve some correction from time to time too. When they do the opposite or something different than what we've taught them to do, we'll need to correct that behavior as well. But then always couple that with another opportunity to do what we have taught and then acknowledge that behavior.
Okay. Our district is growing quickly, and one area that feels it is most is transportation. What are some short-term and long-term goals that will help make sure our students are getting to and from school quickly and safely as we grow?
So it is certainly a challenge that the entire country is facing, I think, in terms of transportation and how to staff those divisions or departments appropriately. So that's another thing that we're going to have to continue to work with our experts that we have in the school system in transportation to come up with what are the best strategies to make sure that we are providing the appropriate level of service to our community. What I can promise you as a superintendent is that we will never stop doing that, and we're always going to make sure that we will provide the appropriate level of service to make sure that our kids can get to school in a safe and efficient way, and then also be returned home in a safe and efficient way.
That's a good answer. Let's see. So our next question from the community was, what are you excited to bring to Barrow from your previous district, and what are you excited to do differently?
So, the long and the short of it in terms of that answer is what I would really like to continue to do in Barrow, and what I've learned is Barrow's already been doing this, is really dig into our strategic plan. The strategic plan, from what I've learned, has been developed in coordination with our entire community, along with the professionals that we have on staff here in the school system. And I'd really like to understand kind of the journey that we've gotten, has gotten us to this point in terms of executing that strategic plan, what needs to happen so we can close that out on a positive note, and then really interested in feedback from the community on how they would like us to engage them in the development of the next strategic plan that we'll be looking at in the next couple of years.
That's awesome. Another question that was submitted was, what is your vision for Barrow County? What would you like to see the district do differently, and what would you like to see stay the same?
Yeah, so part of that strategic plan is obviously the school system's vision, which is boldly committed to student success. Again, my vision for that is, what does that mean to our community? I think we need to engage our community to understand that at a very high level, and then it's our job as educational professionals to build the roadmap that's going to get us to reach the goals that the community has set forth for us. So essentially, my vision is to ask the community two questions: what do they desire from their schools, and what do they require for their schools? And our goal as professionals is going to be to exceed those expectations.
Okay. Why Barrow? What made you want to be the superintendent of Barrow County School System?
Again, it's really the community here. The more I've learned about our community, the more I've learned about the staff in Barrow County, it really just seemed like a place, personally, that my family could thrive. I've got two smaller children. I'll have a fourth grader and a sixth grader in our schools. So selfishly maybe. Personally, I thought it was a good fit for my family. And then professionally, the more I talked and learned about our Board of Education and the governance team, and the more I learned about the staff here in Barrow County Schools, I felt like all the things were already in place that we would need as a staff to really take the next step for our community and really work together to serve our kids.
Okay. And our final question submitted from the community is, what are some books that you enjoyed reading as a student in school? And are there any titles that you would recommend to our students to read?
Oh, so I'm a big Dr. Seuss fan for our younger students. Really enjoyed reading those when my children were smaller. So my favorite Dr. Seuss title is "Oh, the Places You'll Go," and I think part of that is because the underlying message for our children there is if you persist, you can really accomplish anything that you set your mind to. Another title that's a really an easy read and a book that I enjoyed a lot was Make the Call by Mark Richt. And one of the things that stood out in that book was to take the time to celebrate the achievements that you find yourself gaining over time. I think our kids, particularly in this environment where it seems to be really easy to compare yourself to others, they don't always take a minute and recognize the fact that they set a goal for themselves and they work to achieve that goal, celebrate that success, and then let's figure out what the next goal is going to be. So I think those are two, one for younger and one for some of our older students that they'd really enjoy.
Oh, well, it looks like we got some summer reading from Dr. LeDuff. So, and my final question is there any advice, tips, or that you would like to give staff, students getting ready to go back into this great school year?
Sure. I would just like everybody to know that when it comes to the Barrow County School System, we are all in this together. So I want to encourage them to stay positive. When they need help, ask for it. And our school system is going to wrap our arms around the community to make sure that everyone has what they need to be successful.
Well, we're so excited to have them back in the buildings. But that's it for this episode of Beyond the Bell. We have a few more exciting episodes coming out this month that will answer all of your questions before coming back to school in August. Remember to check our website and socials for updates and let us know what you'd like to see next on Beyond the Bell. And remember, the learning journey never stops. It continues beyond the bell. Yay!